After I finished chemo, it was about June of 2021. So chemo took place from February to June. And after that, which I was, still in my head handling this like kind of a champ. I mean, I am a runner, so I was able to run through chemo and I'm ready to move on, and we're going to do daily radiation, and we're going to, move on from all of this. We had to repeat staging scans, and I don't know if that's normal. I'm not totally clear on that, but I know that given the extent of the disease that we're going to repeat the bone scan, the CT, and we're going to repeat the brain scan. And the bone scan and the CT were clear. The brain scan, here I am thinking this is just, I've been scared silly for every brain scan since, but at this point I was just like, yeah, let's repeat it. Let's move on. And it was a summer day, and it was June 29th. And I get a phone call, and I took it outside, and it was probably the most shocking, not probably, it was the most shocking thing I've ever heard. I had two small, believed to be brain mets found. And I remember just sitting there talking to my oncologist at the time, and just really being floored. I mean, had I really ever thought that something in my brain would have been found? I mean, never. But your brain feels, I don't know, for it to be the brain as opposed to the liver or the lung or something, I felt really, I don't know how I would have felt about the other ones, but it felt so personal. It felt like your personality. It felt like everything wrapped up in my brain. It just felt very, just scary diagnosis. So after that, I had my early stage oncologist, who I spoke with probably only a couple other times after this. We obviously set up for the next thing. What's the next step? The next step is to talk to, I don't know, neuroradiology, or a neuro-oncologist. This early time is a little blurry, but I spoke to a couple people, one of which their report was kind of getting me into territory where all of this was very foreign, but one had some mention of leptomeningeal disease in their interpretation of this imaging. And it was, kind of over the next, week and a half, interpreted from some other providers to say, we think this was a little bit of an overreach. But in that week and a half, 2 weeks, to Google that, to be just so floored, it was a really scary time. I think in hindsight, I think maybe providers are giving you the full picture. They're giving you what could all possibly be included in this diagnosis. And for better or for worse, maybe that is the tactic that some providers take. But for me, it ended up not being the case. So it just added another level of, being very scared and complexity to an already very scary situation. I met with a couple doctors trying to figure out what I was going to do, what my options were. Seeing that there was 2 brain mets, whole brain radiation, we discussed it as this is what people can do. But for me specifically, stereotactic radiosurgery was mentioned. And, again, this was nothing I'd ever heard of. All you hear is that you're getting radiation to your brain, and how can this even be possible? This felt very, I don't know. I just felt all of it was so foreign. So after that happened, I met with doctors. I was kind of spinning. I also felt that the relationship with my early stage oncologist was deteriorating. I wasn't getting the response that I felt like I needed. I don't know. maybe in hindsight, no one could have delivered a message like that to me and I would have handled it very well. But I really didn't feel like I was getting the attention and the response from this provider. It wasn't sitting well with me. I was asked by that provider if I wanted to know the statistics, and I said yes, and that didn't feel very good either. There was nothing that she probably was doing. It was not clicking anymore. So I began to really think I need a second opinion. I felt that I was in a position that I could go get a second opinion. I wanted to be, again, very aggressive and take things into my own hands and try to gain some kind of control in an otherwise very out of control situation. So I read a magazine, a Cure mag. I must have Googled brain mets and brain mets patients. I ended up finding an article written about a patient advocate who has since become a friend of mine. And at the time, I just found this person's name on Facebook and sent them a private message and just said, I have to talk to you. And, I don't know. And very, graciously, and, that person agreed to talk to me. They helped kind of, here is this person who's been doing this for a while, has had brain mets for a long time, granted a different HER2 positive where I was HER2 negative, but it was found she just really helped me, give me direction on how I could get my story out there, how I could find other people, maybe gather ideas. And so here is this person who's, definitely older than me, been going through this a lot longer than me, and introduced me to Twitter, which I'd never had a Twitter account. And that led me to other patient advocates, and one who I ended up talking to quite a bit. And at this point, I already had several second opinions lined up. And when I met this other patient advocate, and she told me her story and where she went, she was a patient of one of the places that I was considering going for a second opinion. And it was after that it was really had sealed the deal of where I was going to go. It happened to be the furthest place from my home, but I was really determined to try to get with whoever I thought would be, the best expert to try to help me navigate this new diagnosis.